Alright, hi everyone. I was not intending to pick up the camera today, but because I'm processing these anti-molly cherries, I thought I would record it. So all I'm doing right now is shelling them, and once I have enough, I'll be back and show you the next step. Alright, so the goal here, wash those and they're nice and clean, and I've been storing them as I pick them. So the goal today is to make sure that I have enough to fill that pie dish. So let me get some more in there. So that's full enough, and I'm going to cook it down quite a bit. So that is about the correct amount, and I still have a little more left, and I'm still picking them. So I should be able to make another pie here in a few weeks. So the next step is to put this on the stove and add sugar. And my measurements are for each 1 pound, I put 52 grams of sugar. But I always start with 26 and add the remainder if it is not sweet enough. Alright, so I have 1 pound and 14 ounces. So that's about 2 ounces less than 1 pound. So I'm going to assume this is 2 pounds. So I'm going to need 52 grams of sugar times 2. But I'm only going to start with 52 grams and then add the rest of it if I need it, depending on the sweetness level. So it's up to you to decide how much sugar you want to add. I don't want it too sweet. So I'm going to put it on the stove, add the sugar, and cook it down for about 10 or 15 minutes. Alright, so that's 52 grams of sugar, and I am using cane sugar. So we're going to get that going, and then we'll start working on the pie crust. And I'm cooking this on medium-low heat, and we're going to let it cook for a little while, and we're going to stir every few minutes. And I want this to cook until the cherries start popping. And once they start popping, then I know they're ready for the pie. Alright, so for our pie crust, I'm using 2.5 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, about a teaspoon of salt, and 1 cup of butter, and this is cold butter. And we're just going to pulse this in the food processor until the butter is mixed in. And we just need it pulsed in till you can see little crumbles of butter. Let's see how we're doing. I'm gonna pulse it a little bit more. And pulse it some more. That looks good. And we're going to get this into a bowl. See what that looks like. can still see the butter in there. It's in nice little crumbles. And next, we're going to add some water, some ice water. And I have about a 1/4 cup of vodka and 3/4 cups of water. And that's the vodka that I'm using. And I'm just going to pour it in a little bit at a time. And we want this to look like the biscuit dough. So we still want it to be a little crumbly. And I should mention that this recipe that I'm doing, oops, I don't want the ice in there. The 2.5 cups of flour, this will make me 2 doughs and I only need 1. So I'm going to freeze the other one for the next pie that I make. And so that's what that looks like right now. And what I want to make sure is, the way I know how my dough is ready is when I squeeze it in, it stays together. So it's not too wet. But if I do that, then it crumbles right back. And I can see this flour at the bottom that still needs a little more water. I'll put that in. And I really do not want to overwork this dough or make it too wet. Okay, so that's looking good. So what I'm going to do now is get it out of this bowl. I'm trying to work fast here because I don't want that butter to get back to room temperature. I guess we'll do it this way. And I'm just trying to get it into dough consistency without touching it too much with my hands, because I don't want that butter to get to room temperature. So we're just doing several folds. I should have been using the plastic wrap to do this, but that's okay. Alright, so we used about 1/2 cup of that water and vodka mixture. And actually my dough feels a little wet, but I'm guessing that's because the butter is starting to get to room temperature. So what we need to do is cut that dough into half. And we're going to freeze that 1/2. Let's see if I can get it a little more into a square without overworking that dough. We're going to put that in the freezer for next time. And I'm going to take this one. And I'm going to put this one in the fridge. And we'll let it sit in there for about an hour. Alright, now that we have our pie crust in the refrigerator, I want to show you where we are at with these cherries. And as you can see, they have lots of liquid. I'm not too worried about that because I'm going to be using some tapioca flour to thicken that up. But we are quite a ways out. Well, I can see some of it has started breaking. I don't know if you can see that. So we may not have too long to go. And I remember I mentioned at the beginning of this video that this should take about 10 minutes. But because I'm cooking it on low, it is going to take longer than that 10 minutes. I'm actually going to turn the heat up a little bit, so a lot of that liquid can also start evaporating. And so far, I only have that 52 grams of sugar in here. And I'm going to give it a taste test here. Let's see if I can get myself a spoon. Oh, it's not really a spoon, but this will work. Let's see how sweet that is. Oh man, that's definitely sweet enough. So I'm not going to put in the other 52 grams of sugar. And I'm just going to keep stirring this until it's ready. And I should mention that I'm using Becky's recipe, at least for the dough. It's a recipe that she uses for her tomato pie. And I'll put a link to it in the bottom of this page in the description. And you can go and look at the original recipe that she does. And we'll see you back here in a few minutes when we're ready for the next step. All right. I am ready to add my tapioca, and I've decided I'm going to use this tapioca. I think they call them sprinkles. I don't know, I don't remember the name. I took them out of the original packaging. And I'm going to put in a tablespoon, about a tablespoon and a half. And I'm going to let this cook for a few more minutes. And this is just about where I want it. I think you can see most of those broken pieces. So I'll let this cook for about another 5 minutes. I'm going to turn off the heat and let it cool off. And we should be ready for the next step, which is going to be rolling out the dough and getting our pie filling in, and then getting it into the oven. So we'll see you back here shortly. All right, so I was feeling like I missed something in this recipe, and I tasted it one more time and I realized the pinch of salt was missing, and I've just added that in. And boy, does it make a difference in the taste. So don't forget that step. And it's just about half a teaspoon of salt. So this is ready for me to turn off, and now let it cool off. Maybe to about it's not room temperature. It's going to take forever if I do that, but I'll make sure it's cool enough for me to handle and get into the oven. So we'll see you right back. All right, so we are ready to start rolling the crust. Our filling has been sitting for about 30 minutes and it's cool enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll the bottom. And this is nice and chilled. Just took it out of the refrigerator. It's kind of a little difficult to roll. I don't know if you can see that. You can see the little pea-size pieces of the butter. That's what we were going for. And I want to roll this to a size that will fit into my pie dish. And I've made this recipe before, and okay, I need to get a little flour onto the dough. And I did not do the step where I pre-cook the dough. And I did not have a soggy dough. The one comment that Roger made was that he wants the dough a little bit thinner. So we'll see how much thinner we can make it in comparison to the last time. I think I'm going to need a knife here. There we go. Hi Dee. Can you give mommy a few minutes to get this going? I know you're ready for your nubby nubbers. Just give mommy a few minutes. I'm almost done here. Alright, that looks good. And I'm not worrying about making a perfect round, because I'm just going to fold in some of this pastry against itself. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to fold it over, bring my dish, and I don't need to see that I've gotten it folded into quarters. I'm just going to use that knife to help me lift any of the places that might get stuck. And I'm going to make sure that part right there is just about in the middle. So when I unfold the dough, all right, just be as gentle as you can. Okay, may have to do that to get the edges to sit in there. And just get them up onto the side. And as you can see, that side has a lot of dough. And at this point, I'm just trying to make sure that it's all the way in and going over onto the sides. There we go. Make sure I get some of it over the edge. So when I put in the top part, it meets. There we go. It's getting soft, so I'll need to put this back in the fridge while I roll the top piece. That's as good as that is going to get. So that's ready. Put it back in the refrigerator for a few minutes while I roll the top part. And at this point, I'm heating the oven to 400 degrees. It's about 6 o'clock and Dee's ready for her evening snack. So she's right at my feet, giving me a nudge. And our oven is ready. Oh, one thing I should mention. Initially, I took this dough after we were done making it and I put it in the refrigerator, and it occurred to me I need to cut it into half, because I need some for the top and some for the bottom. So I did go back and take it out and cut it into half. So I'd have the two pieces. And if you only want to use the bottom piece, then you're going to have a thicker crust, or you can cut the dough that we made initially into 4 pieces. It all depends on how thick you want it to get. And I'm making this about 10 inches around, approximately. A little bit of flour. So So when I fold it into the quarter, it doesn't stick together. And I think that's about as thin as I want to go with that. So I'm going to fold it into a quarter. And we're going to set it aside right there. And I'm going to get the dough that's already in the dish. And we're going to get our pie filling in there and get this going. Let's get this poured in gently. Get all that goodness in there. And as you can see, we went from a really full dish to about 3/4, which is good. And now, without making too much of a mess, let's get this top layer in there. And I want to make sure I have enough dough all around. And what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see that, is I'm going to take that bottom piece and roll this top part under it like that. So we'll seal those juices in there. Once I've gone all the way around, this can be a little messy, especially because my filling is still a little bit warmer than I would like. But we'll make do. And once you have it all round, I'm not worried about making it pretty, just want to make sure that everything is filled in. And at this point, I'm just going to go around and just get that with my finger like that. And if it was, oh, that's not good, my refrigerator door was still open. And if this was a little higher, then I'd be using both my fingers in there just to get it all pinched in. And this is just about making sure that both layers of the pie are pinched into each other, so we don't have too much liquid coming out of that pie. And the tapioca should also help. And ideally, this should have been farther out, so all those little folds will be on the outside. But this will do as well. And it's time to get this in the oven. And we're going to take a fork and make some holes in there. Not sure why, but I do little chicken feet. These holes don't really have to be in any particular shape. But there we go. Let's get this in the oven. And I'm going to cook it for about 20 minutes with a foil cover. And then I'm going to take the foil off and we'll let it brown. There we go. It's done cooking. And we're going to give it a few minutes to cool off. Bye. We'll see you next time.